Honorable Chair, General Roy, ladies and gentlemen, and the gallant war disabled warriors assembly, आप सबको मेरा नमस्कार. मैं माफी मांगता हूं कि हमारा PowerPoint presentation already prepare हो गया इंग्लिश में. कोशिश करेंगे to हिंदी it as best as possible. जो ये स्लाइड का टॉप राइट हैंड कॉर्नर जो लोगो दिखाई पड़ रहा है वो it is a Colors of Glory Foundation which I belong to, which is engaged in promoting awareness of military heritage, as General Sabha was saying. I will be discussing how war disabled, how a long-term relationship can be built up between war disabled and corporate entities, which is beneficial to both. मतलब दोनों के बीच में तकड़ा एक रिश्ता कैसा बना सकता है ये छोटे लफ्ज में. Right. Now, this is the agenda I've structured my presentation on. We just keep it, I mean, we'll go one by one. The case for a long-term partnership. I've analyzed this topic on the premise that the cornerstone of a long-term relationship has to be a robust placement scheme wherein the war disabled can find productive employment while being effective members of a workforce of their corporate employees. This is possible because, as far as I understand, only a low percentage of the war disabled or rather low percentage of the disabilities are incapacitating, rendering the majority of war disabled capable of being successful workers. And there can be no better moral builder for them to find themselves working and earning. So I've also explored the as secondary and tertiary avenues, the channelizing social, the CSR initiatives and corporate sponsorships to support the war disabled. Now, okay. I'll take the corporate placement scheme first. This has necessarily got to be an exclusive one for the Army because most of the war disabled are from the Army. Ideally, a corporate placement should be formed under the auspices of the Army headquarters. The cell has to address 5 main areas. We'll again take it one by one. First is the awareness building about Army veterans. Now, I want to first highlight the existing misconception among the civilians at large about the employment potential of the Army veterans, armed force veterans in general. They seem to think that these veterans are only good enough for security jobs. This mindset has to be totally changed before we can build up any meaningful relationship. Therefore, the primary requirement is to educate the corporates on the availability of skilled and non-skilled manpower available within the Army. This can be achieved through a well-organized PR campaign. The most effective way to go about the campaign will be through direct mailers addressed to the CEOs of major corporate organizations, highlighting the benefits of choosing Army as their source of manpower. Besides the traits of discipline, integrity, loyalty, which is commonly attributed to soldiers, we have to highlight the hands-on experience of the veterans. Conventionally, the corporates recruit raw civilian hands with no work experience, solely based on their academic qualification, then put them through internship before using them. By recruiting veterans, they can simplify and economize this process. Therefore, the focal point of a campaign should be by recruiting veterans, they can get a ready-to-use manpower, saving on their expenses on training and stipend. Additionally, they also get a highly disciplined workforce, bringing in a new, rather better work culture than what may already have, increasing their productivity. That's what corporate success is all about. Therefore, there's no reason why the companies must not embrace a system where they just achieve that and realign their HR management policies accordingly. I'm suggesting a holistic approach, connecting the entire veteran community with the corporates, rather than addressing the issue of the war disabled, exclusively addressing the issue of the war disabled at this stage, because inducing the corporates to recruit veterans is the first step. So, yeah, welcome. Sorry, I bent over. Yeah, before I go to this next slide, the same theme I was talking about the general ignorance among the civilians. I'll just play a video. Another Fauji like me who has been working with the corporates is talking rather passionately about it. Can I have this?
In India. You may not know this, but close to 40 to 50,000 ex-servicemen come out of the armed forces every year. I'm not that concerned about the officers manage to do well. I think about a Jawan who joined the army at the age of 19 and for 20 to 22 years, 25 years in some cases, served in some of the most harsh places. Let's forget about that. That's part of what they signed up for. But let me tell you another dimension of their life. If an army Jawan is lucky, he will get 2 months of annual leave per year. If he is lucky. Usually they don't get it because of off deployment, but he'll get 2 months of leave every year. Do the math. At 20 years, he will see his family 2 months into 20. And for 10 months of the year, he doesn't even have the privacy of a room. He'll be in a barrack. And he will do that until the age of 40. And at 40, the government of India will chuck him out into the civil street. The only job we give them is opening doors, closing the job we give. And these are the same soldiers who build bridges for you when engineering companies can't build it, who build communication networks when communication networks have failed. They are the ones who reach out there and in every disaster, in every place, they operate foreign equipment. I was part of a mechanized infantry battalion, and our entire equipment was in Russian. Labels were in Russian, manuals were in Russian, and 10th class pass Jawans can operate third generation missiles. They can fire third generation missiles. And our country trusts them during national disasters. We trust them when we send them to United Nations to represent us in peacekeeping. We trust them to rehabilitate entire communities which have been flattened by earthquakes in Latur or floods in Punjab or landslide in Himachal Pradesh. But somehow our corporate India doesn't seem to be able to trust them with even a small business role or a small entrepreneurship role. I think it's one of the most stupid things that we do, that we take this extremely highly trained, and by the way, you have to remember that our defense budget, if you calculate the entire, the training, the manpower, all of that is an academy for which you pay. It comes from your taxpayer money. And these alumni of the academy, you are under-leveraging them by just making them guards out there. We need to exploit their capability and leverage them as well. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Jitna bura halat hai hum dekh liya. I was addressing how to overcome these problems, some of them. The first, as I said, if you're able to convince the corporates to recruit the veterans, they will readily absorb the war disabled as well. So that should be the first step. However, for this exercise to be successful, we need to find the right man for the right job. So that takes us to matching corporate HR needs with army traits. That's quite a job. Somebody was talking in the morning about the data problems and mixing, how to, but we got to do it. Unless they know which trade in the army can be used for which sort of job available in the corporate sector. So this can be achieved only through close liaison with the corporate organizations. Mechanics of the placement cell. Placement scheme rather. The placement cell should have a website, obviously, with where the organizations who need personnel can register and requisition their personnel. The cell has to be staffed and equipped for digitalized and meticulous mapping of demands and available manpower for different categories. There has been an exclusive section for the ward disabled. The thumb rule for the placement must be all parameters being equal between two candidates. The ward disabled get the preference, and then now the drawback of creating a program exclusively for the ward disabled is we may not be able to meet, find suitable candidates for every demand that we receive from among the ward disabled. With an option to recruit, candidates from among the other veterans, we can meet all the demands. A placement scheme has to be a seamless process where all demands for personnel are promptly met. Now, orientation and soft skill training, the next issue. Besides the coordinating placement, the placement cell has to forecast future vacancies from inputs received from the, showing the job description through inputs received from the corporates. By monitoring such data, it's entirely possible to find suitable candidates for, and where required, impart job-specific training to them. Such training can go hand in hand with the rehabilitation process of the ward disabled. As a general policy, it might be advisable to train all the ward disabled in soft skills like computer usage and communication skills. For one, by the nature of the injuries, the ward disabled, it may be necessary for them to take up desk jobs or jobs which don't involve too much of physical work. Secondly, Hindi being the lingua franca in the army, they might find that their lack of proficiency in the English language may hinder them being successful performers in the corporate world. The whole exercise should be focused at training and equipping them to be successful corporate performers even while they're still serving. Now, psychological preparation for a corporate transition. Now, what you heard in the video is only one side of the story. The veterans themselves compound the issue by not being assertive enough to find their place in the corporate world. The veterans, by and large, are handicapped by a psychological barrier in seeking successful corporate careers. Having served in the relatively safe armed forces environment with absolute job security, they're inherently shy of jobs which appear unfamiliar and generally opt for security and administrative assignments, which are with minimum challenges. This mindset is fundamentally flawed. Well-paying corporate jobs with good upward mobility involves certain amount of challenges at all levels, and it calls for initiative on the part of employees at all levels. For example, one of the areas or rather the area where you find maximum openings in corporate sector is marketing. All sales personnel now, why is there marketing? Is because if a company cannot sell their product or service, all their activities come to naught. So all sales personnel, from young executives to the senior managers, they all need a flair for salesmanship. The veterans generally deem it beyond their competence and not even look at these assignments. it's not that formidable. You can thoda himmat dikhana chahiye. You can always sort of get into marketing. It's not that difficult. So the after all, salesmanship calls for a certain amount of aggressiveness, and aggressiveness is dormant in every soldier. It's only a matter of channelizing your aggressiveness to sort of meet goals in a different sort of area, or rather different environment than the battlefield. Now, you need to understand, these veterans, the structural, the structured thinking and analytical skills they developed during the service, and their dormant aggressiveness, as I said before, and perseverance. These are valuable tools which can help them get an edge in a competitive environment. Yeah. Now we come to the secondary avenue. I mean, 2 minutes. Completed with the placement. 2 minutes. I'll do the last ones. From a patriotic and moralistic point of view, it might appear that the prime area for focusing the CSR initiatives should be helping the disabled. But in a country like India, with so many social ills, poverty and malnutrition being not the least of them, they might find enough justification to focus elsewhere, which they consider more urgent. Nevertheless, with proper PR, they could be enthused to allot at least a certain percentage of their CSR budget for exclusive for the war disabled. One of the areas where I'm short of time, so I'll just first through it. One of the areas where we can they can give valuable assistance is in setting up medical centers in areas, for catering for the special needs of the war disabled in areas which they lack. This will be extremely helpful in alleviating the troubles of the severely injured, like the paraplegics and those needing regular dialysis with no facilities available at hand. If ECHS could be associated with these such ventures, and the centers empaneled, eventually the corporates will be benefit from this. Another area where we can the CSR can be brought to bear is setting up industrial training institutes. These institutes can train war disabled in specific trades before or after their retirement, which will help them in their subsequent placement. This will be rewarding for the corporates also, because they can source trained manpower. Industrial training can also help the war disabled set up SSI units. These SSI units in turn can produce accessories for the manufacturing plant of the corporates. So again, it is mutually beneficial. Corporates are getting a ready supplier, where these people are getting their a ready market for their products. And the third, and a very strong partnership can be made through dealerships. The corporates can set up exclusive dealership units to be run by war disabled. Those who can afford can get franchiseships also. This entrepreneurial course of resettlement offers tremendous potential for growth and prosperity, not only for the war disabled, for the entire veteran community. There is a need to educate and encourage them to take up startups and start thinking as employers and not employees always. And this will, the last part of the talk is only about this. Corporate sponsorship, the tertiary avenue we just talked about. This is para sports is a major area where the corporates can further the cause of the war disabled by sponsoring major para events. Now these events are held in major metros. Now the NGOs and because that is where the corporates do their brand building. Now the others, the NGOs and veteran associations can conduct these events in other cities across the country, seeking sponsorship from corporate organizations. So what I'm saying is the NGO, veteran associates, they all got to be involved in this process. So the corporate associates can also sponsor marathons. By not marathons, by corporate groups of who are disabled to take part in marathons, those from rural areas, since a marathon takes place in cities. High visibility events like marathons, para sports, these all draw a lot of public attention, giving a fillip to the brand building of these corporates, bringing the war disabled to limelight, which is essential to pedestal them unforgotten the national conscience. In conclusion, I will say centralized corporate scheme devised and developed by the Army, supplemented by focused CSR initiatives and sponsorship mobilized by the veteran associations and NGOs, can certainly ensure a partnership between war disabled and corporate organizations that benefit for them both. Thank you and Jai Hind.
Thank you.